till death do us part. That's another concluding and yet solemn part of the solemnization of marriage. But unfortunately today that happens to be a heartbreaking phrase as domestic violence continues on the rise. It's Hot Stuff Wednesday, and as usual, we're here to give you our hot takes on the breakfast show. My name is Joy Matthew. Right after this break, you get to meet the rest of the team. Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. It's TSLNIGERIA TV, and as usual, here on Hot Stuff Wednesday, we like to serve it hot, hot. I'm not alone, as you already know. I have beautiful ladies by my right and by my left. I have Becky, the ever sumptuous. You look sumptuous.
Thank you.
And then I have Glory Brown with me this morning. Now, we're looking all pretty, but trust me, what we have this morning, it's not very, very pretty to discuss, because following the death of the renowned gospel artist Osinachi Wanshuku, trust me, it's something that everybody should sit upright and ask ourselves, really, really, when is it enough to step out of an abusive marriage? First off, let me ask Becky, do you think that there is any excuse, or do you think that there are some excuses that should allow somebody to say, okay, the marriage is toxic, it's abusive, but let's just stay sure. Let's see how we can mend it.
Okay, in my opinion, after experiencing some circles of events, you don't really need an external person to say, okay, this is the right time for you to speak up for yourself, because you can tell when you are being abused. Exactly. If you judge people by their pedigree, if you notice that you're with somebody who always wants to get physical when you're having an altercation, then you should speak up for yourself.
Okay, so are you saying that there is no excuse for, because I think that's the major issue, because this person is a gospel artist, it's like there are two parties. Some persons are saying till death do us part, that's what you signed at the altar, you're a Christian and all of that. Do you think that as a Christian there is no excuse for you living an abusive marriage?
Of course there are excuses.
Okay.
Exactly. Situations will require for you to step out of.
So you're saying, remember, as a Christian, you're saying that there are excuses.
Yes, there are.
Aside it, till death do us part. It does not have to be death.
No.
Just hold on. Okay, Glory, you've just been looking like, okay, let me observe what this lady is saying. What's your take on it? Do you think that there are excuses that can warrant you leaving, whether or not it's an abusive, whether or not it's toxic, it's a marriage?
Yeah, there are excuses. There are excuses. Just like the way they say it in pidgin. Now we should know it depend on. So you understand. If it gets to domestic violence, and first thing you want to do is ask yourself if you're the one pushing this person to do this. You know, some women, their mouths are very sharp. Just like when Smith slapped Chris Rock the other day, he couldn't control the emotions. So you can see a nagging woman, for instance, they can nag a man, and the man won't even know when to retaliate. There is no excuse for domestic violence anyway.
Okay, because
but in as much as a marriage thing, living is not really that easy. If you check yourself and you know you're not the problem, and then it keeps occurring once, twice, maybe you can sit him down and, like, if you have an anger issue, you can work towards it and see. The third time is not taking any classes on working on his anger issue, and it keeps occurring. Maybe you can just take a walk. Like I said, now you know where the pain now.
Now we are and now know where the pain. Okay, now we've talked about the fact that some occasions might should warrant you leaving. Like we've agreed. I hope the three of us agreed.
Sure.
Okay? We have all agreed that yes, at some point you just have to leave if it's very toxic, if it's very abusive. But now let's really define, when is this abusive, when is it toxic? What happened with the minister Osinachi? Fine, neighbors had it. There were rumors, because now she's not there to say it happened. In fact, I don't want to even call it rumors, because at some point she really did admit that yes, this person was being physical with her. But let's define a toxic or an abusive relationship. When is it really toxic, or when is it really abusive?
When it's really toxic is when you can't even have a proper communication without an argument popping up.
Okay. I think that's very important.
That's the first stage it actually starts from, before you get to the point of you getting physical.
Like you're having ordinary conversation.
We're already arguing, we're already fighting, we're already insulting ourselves. That's the first stage. You don't really need for it to get to the point whereby you guys start fighting and breaking TVs and, you know, throwing portions. When you get to the first part, maybe it's an understanding problem. You can't understand very well. That is why you're having these fights or insults anytime you're trying to communicate with each other. So the first thing is, can we talk about it? Because there is no marriage or relationship that can actually survive without an understanding or a proper communication. You guys can sit and talk about it, but if it keeps occurring, and every time definitely you already know it's getting to domestic violence now.
Oh, it's definitely going to get
yes,
there. Okay, how about you, Becky? What would be your definition of an abusive relationship?
When you people do not have sustainable methods of resolving issues. Exactly. When you don't know how
okay,
to...
What do you mean by sustainable method? Because now that you said it, I just thought of how there are some relationships where we argue and then we say, okay, no problem. And then next time I'm probably bringing up what we already trashed out, like, and say something like, now so you do that time, this is what you did the other.
Comes in.
So I don't know if, what's your definition of sustainable right now means?
Okay, most importantly, I would like to mention this. A lot of people do not know that abuse comes in different forms. It could be verbal, could be financial. When we're talking about marriages or relationships, could be financial, could be physical. So most reasons people don't even know that they are in an abusive relationship because they don't know the things to look out for. And you standing away from it, you can see the pattern and you're like, oh, this person is being abused.
It's easy to see when you're not
Exactly.
Okay, now you just made mention of something. You said it could be, aside it being physical, it could be financial. I like that.
Money
shaming. So I'm just wondering, like, so you're saying that it's possible for your spouse or your partner to money shame you?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
Preach, sister, preach. Okay, so you just said it could be financial, it could be verbal, and then physical. I like that we're taking the case of this minister as a case study, so other persons watching you did not know that this is you because you say, oh, he has never hit me, he has never carried his hands on me. I know it can be somehow, but he has never actually been physical with me. If this person is money shaming you, if this person is verbally assaulting you, telling you things that really hurt your emotions, you probably want to take a look at that relationship once again. Okay, I don't know if it's safe for us to just diverge a bit. Now, we talked about how this could be verbal, it could be physical, it could be financial. Is it safe to say that, fine, in this scenario, it's a woman that died, and that's why I started off with till death do us part. I know there are so many factors. I'm hoping that we can go as much as possible and look at all these factors. There is the religion factor, there is the what people say factor, yes, financial, like, oh, where will I start from? But do you think that perchance in a relationship, abuse, toxicity do not just affect women, probably has its effect on men too? Have you heard of any situation where the man is in the receiving end? Because I don't want to believe, or I don't want to think that this is a gender thing solely, like it's only women are the weaker vessels. Do you think that it's possible that men too suffer from abuse?
Of course men are victims too, but the chances are very slim because they are in charge.
And mostly they don't speak out. You know, they tell you you're a man, you're not supposed to cry. You're supposed to bottle it up and all. There are some men, their wife, they be there for house. But they can't even come out and say it because they feel like I'm the man.
I'm in charge.
I'm in charge. I'm supposed to keep it on and keep going. If I cry out, and people will see me as a weak man.
Person. Yeah. I just remember the scenario where I read the story of how this man, because he was always calm, that's his nature, he's always a calm person. He got married and then everything just changed. The woman became really, I don't know if I should say outgoing. She was like, you need to be more, you are not quarreling, we're not having this husband and wife fights and all of that. Like, it got to the point that this guy was shocked up. He went to a family, reported, nothing was done about it. He went to his family and they were like, come on, you're the man, you're supposed to be in charge. To the extent that he comes back home and he sits out in his car and cry himself out like, okay, I'm going to a war zone. I'm going to a war zone. Okay,
so
now
I need to get ready for it.
I need to get ready. I need to, like, okay, drain myself. Like, this woman is going to nag and I should be ready for it. We talked about being in charge financially, being in charge mentally, but let's start off with the financial aspects. I don't know, because I'm not married. Is there any rule that states that somebody should be in charge of finances, or it comes with the relationship?
There is no rule. men are the head, you understand? They are
Mhm.
just created to be like that, and they like being in charge.
Okay.
So there's no room for me or me as the wife to have money more than my husband, or my husband should have money. There are no rules. But the thing is, when you have the money as the woman, can you still be loyal to the man? That's where the problem comes in. Some women just small money like this.
Okay, let's use our case study as an example, because you just said something. First off, there are no rules.
There are no rules.
The man is the head, as society, as religion, and as every other structure has placed it. But like you said, there are no rules. Case study, Osinachi. People have given reports that if you want to book this woman for an event, you have to go through the husband. If you want to pay for an event, you have to go through the husband. And then people that had close communication with her, we are getting to that point. We would even talk about the courtship thing eventually. People that had close communication with her said it got to the point where they're probably paying her a lot of money for a performance or a ministration, and then she's getting peanuts from it. What's your take on that?
I feel the man. There are some men that really can handle successful women. They feel threatened. The minute they start have money, they feel insecure all of a sudden. I feel maybe the man Peter Wanshuku was just like that kind of man I described. You understand? Because if it was to be a man that has a career for himself and he was up and doing, he was still seeing his money, I don't think there was going to be any fight. Or it's sweet when your wife tells you, baby, can you take this, let's go out and have fun. But some men, when they are not making money and the lady is making money, no matter how calm you are or how loyal you are, you know, when you don't have money, you're always aggressive for no reason. Everything
She just said something. Okay, Becky, your take on money generally when it comes to relationship, when it comes to marriages, what's your take generally on money?
The man should provide.
Okay.
It is okay for a woman to support, but even the Bible says a man should provide for his household.
Okay, in a situation where the woman is earning more than the man, do you still stand on that ground?
First of all, they should have a proper understanding from the get-go. I feel like that's where the issue is. If they've come to an understanding to say, okay, this responsibility should be taken care of exactly by this person, or it's going to be better that way.
Get a proper understanding, get a proper, should I say, division of labor from the onset. Okay, now you just said something about from the get-go. We know people change. People get married, and then what you get married to is not what you now see. Like the scenario of that man that got married, and the girlfriend at that time, she was really calm and understanding. And all of a sudden, she's like, we are not quarreling enough. We are not having those heated arguments that couples have. And now is wondering, where did all of this come from? Do you think that courtship has a role? Because there are some persons that do not believe in long relationship, like you are dating for 2 years. What is it for? There are some persons that will tell you that, yes, I want to see all of it before I eventually get into it. I know most denominations, because now this has something to do with religion in a way, most denominations will tell you that there's no point having, once you have prayed over it, you have seen the brother, the both of you have gone for marriage counseling and all of that. But on your own, personally, what do you make of courtship when it comes to situations like this, in assessing situations like this, money matter, personal behavior? Because there is no way, I don't know, personally, I feel like if you have seen this person for long, you would see those signs of insecurity, but you never can tell. But on your own, personally, what's your own take on courtship?
Okay, I would say there is no one size fits all. Some people might want to date for 3 months, 1 year before actually agreeing to
Get married.
Being with that person. But when you meet someone whom you resonate on the same level with, I feel like you should know. Plus, there are signs you should look out for. But most people are ignorant to these things because they're all blinded with love and the feelings that comes with being
those initial. Okay, so you're saying that it's, if you are looking out for the right feelings, if you're looking out for the right signs, it's something that you can easily spot.
Yes, you can.
Are there some of these things? I don't know, the way you said it sounded very sure, like I know what I'm looking for. Can you point out some of those things already?
The truth is, what I'm looking for might not be what will sit right with you.
Okay.
Exactly. We have different things that we look out for in a partner. So for me, I would say I'm looking at credibility, someone who's transparent, someone who would let me in on what's happening, because I cannot deal with a partner that I constantly have to to struggle to get information from. Exactly.
Like you're the third person in a two-person relationship.
Yeah.
Okay, Glory, now let me ask you, your take on the whole courting thing. I know there is Christian courting, there is, I don't know if I should call it secular courting, and why should I say there's 3 months, 1 year, 2 years. There's some persons that go as far as 10 years. It's not like they cannot get married immediately. But I beg, that commitment, that we are married commitment is just not in their budget right now. What's your take on the whole courting thing? Do you think it's something that can reveal some of these little details?
Cutting is very good because from the start you get to know what you want in the marriage. You talk about bills, you talk about a lot of things before.
So all of this should be discussed in courting.
From the start, but unfortunately, most people don't really talk about all those things during their courtship. They are just carried away with their shebi, with how they are going to make their hair, you know, the fancy wedding and all that.
Oh my.
Marriage is a whole different ball game, you know. And some people can actually pretend during courtship. Do you know?
Like for how long? That I think that's the essence of the question.
People can, if you cut it for 3 months, for instance, people can actually pretend for 3 months just to get in the house, and then they show you who they truly are,
Wow.
their true colors. But for courtship, it's still a good idea.
Okay, so how long do you think it's fine?
If
how
you
long
like, cut
should
for
it-
1 year, cut for 3 years, cut for 3 months. When you get inside, it's a different ball game because when you're cut, you guys don't have kids, for instance. You don't know the changes that comes along when you guys have kids. And other challenges that comes when you give birth, for instance, and then your tummy is big, your boobs is now extra large and all that. So no matter how you cut, when you get inside, the cutting definitely will guide you because from the cutting stage, you've talked about a whole lot that will guide you in the marriage, but it's not enough. The only thing that's going to be enough is when the both of them are Christians and they have a solid foundation in Christ.
Okay, you just said something because I was going to come down to changes. How do you now start spotting and saying, okay, this is not what I wanted, this is not what I signed up for? Changes in the marriage itself. You just said something about both of you are Christian. Mr. Peter is a Christian, and Osina, she's a Christian. So how do you now say that, oh, this is now getting different, and at what point do you say, I cannot do this anymore, or I do not want to do this anymore?
You know, we're all humans and we change. Change is a constant thing. Like,
Okay.
you know, you've changed from how you used to be last year. Likewise me. When you've made, I don't know, maybe you've come to an agreement during your courtship level and then you get into marriage, you're seeing a different thing, just like in the case of Peter and Wanchiku. You can actually sit him down and let him know, oh, I don't think this is what we agreed from the start. We did courtship, we talked about this. So all of a sudden, are you changing your plans and you're treating me bad? And then you look for people around that you feel can talk to him. And if it's not changing and then it gets to the point of domestic violence, why not take a walk and save your life?
Okay, so that's the issue right now. Well, remember that we're live on Facebook, and you too can drop your thoughts as a comment there. Go search for us on TSLNIGERIA TV. Drop your comment and we'll take it right here on the show. Now, we are getting towards the interesting part because somebody actually did die. You know, I watched a movie that said till death do us part, and the lady really did die for them to pass. So I don't know if it's even right for me to bring it up and say people should start writing their own vows and removing that part. Now, Becky, this happened from what Gloria said. If the two persons are Christians, if they are committed, and these people checked the boxes, but somebody still died. Where do you think that she could have drawn the line? Somebody is listening, somebody is watching, and they're saying, oh, this is exactly what is happening to me. But what do I do? Where do you think that whoever it is that is still alive to learn from this scenario, where do you think that person should probably draw the line?
First of all, I would say it is widely inappropriate to boil this down to religion. You are in it, you know what you are going through. You know, you cannot continue to be in a relationship that's threatening your life. If your safety is not 100%, then you have every reason to walk from that marriage or relationship.
Okay, now remember that this person is not just alone now. You have gotten into the marriage, you have gotten children. There are some things that, especially women, there are some things that you have now suspended, probably career. It's not so easy. You have to take care of children, bring up children, your career. Naturally, where she would have got, I think this is where it's really, really true. You move faster when you are alone.
Yes, true.
You move faster
When you're
you're alone. You move further when you are with a group or when you're with somebody. If we are going to a certain location, we can go into places because we have two heads, Abby. But when I'm going alone, it's easy for me to move faster. I do not have
That's any
children.
decisions, you know,
Yes,
just
whether or not it's good or bad
Yeah,
decision,
just-
you're just
yeah, I
on.
tell you.
Now, this advice that you just gave, how about people that have children? There's some persons that have more than she has already.
Of
She had
course.
3 boys and 1 girl. There's some persons that have up to 10 children. In this Nigeria, I wonder how they do it, because this is not magic.
From my own view, Joy Matthew, I feel the reason why most people stay longer in an abusive relationship or in a marriage where you have domestic violence is they don't have financial independence and they don't have a supportive family.
Exactly.
A family that will take them back. Some families tell you, go, you don't marry. Now your husband has with that, just go and bear whatever. But some family, they are understanding, they can actually see, okay, like our daughter has tried to put in work for this marriage to work out, and the man keeps beating her. Can she come back home? And some women, they don't even have, can I say 5K in their account personally, and they have 4 kids. How do they start?
So it's like that's even one of the contributing factor why they are in an abusive relationship. First of all, the fact that you are broke. Like there's always something for somebody to point at you, like you're not contributing.
How will you start to get an apartment in the first place? And the
Where do
children,
you
the
move to
fees,
with your kids?
the way you don't have a supportive family to accept you back home.
Okay, so you're saying that somebody, like, let us get this straight. Somebody without a supportive family
One,
in an abusive relationship and with no money has no hope.
I don't think they have it. The only person that can actually, you don't have a financial independence or support, financial support or independence, you don't have a supportive family. The only thing that can actually take you out is a strong will. Strong will, self-confidence. Like maybe I have something to fall back to. Let's say I have a skill or I've been chasing my career to an extent. I can just go back and dust it off and then pick up. If you don't have any skill, you don't have anything, you don't have financial independence, you don't have supportive family, see, thinking you first finish it for them first.
This is getting real. This is getting real. But Becky, no, I feel that there should be something that we can still give to people listening. Like, fine, there are some persons that got married really young, probably 16, 18. They already have children. They do not have any skill because they've never had time. Maybe the only skill that they have is taking care of children. Now, those kind of persons, no educational background to fall back to, no career path to fall back to, no financial backup, accommodating family they don't have, and now they have an abusive partner. What would be your beamer of hope to those persons?
The truth is, people who are victims of domestic abuse, they hardly ever listen to you. If you're trying to reach out to them, you're trying to help them come out of the relationship or marriage, it's actually very difficult because they've come to a resolve with themselves that outside this marriage I have nothing for myself. And
so how do you break that mentality? Because I think that's where the problem is. They already have given up. They have given up with life and say, okay, this is it. This is where I am going to die. This is where I'm going to perish.
It will get to a point, they won't even, when they are tired, they won't even seek advice. They'll just take a walk.
So do we wait? Because now we are in the society and we cannot just... This church failed Minister Osinachi, if you ask me. Religion failed her because many a times she complained to people in her church and everybody said, and when she's tired, she will take a walk.
How sure are you that those people that she complained to did not come out of their way to actually help her, but she was indifferent about the little assistance that they could give? It's very possible.
So you're saying that it still boils down to personal resolve?
It boils down, yeah, it depends.
Okay, let's just take a few comments from our Facebook page already. Esther said, no excuse is good enough to stay in an abusive relationship. She said, run. Is that run for me? Now, Mr. Clement said, good morning, beautiful ladies. You guys looking pretty. One of the signs of abusive marriage is that your partner keeps track of everything you do. So if you are wondering if you're in an abusive relationship, take note. They monitor where you are and whom you're with at all times. They prevent or discourage you from seeing friends, family, or going to work or school. That's insecurity. They start projecting their insecurity on you. Who is that? Who did you just talk to? Thank you very much, Mr. Clement. Now, Benita said, there is no excuse to stay in an abusive marriage. No matter what the society says about you as a lady, walking out of your marriage, you know the reason. Okay, walking out of your marriage, you know the reason and you are the one in the marriage. So if it's not comfortable anymore, walk out. The most annoying part is that men are allowed to walk out, but women are not. So common is, this is not the 80s. So please, ladies, do yourself good by walking out instead of losing your life for someone undeserving. I think this is the most that we can take. So many persons have given out their advice. you're in a relationship and you do not know where to start, just walk out. If you're saying that, oh, I'm doing this for my children, leave because you need to stay alive for your children. I think that's a very terrible excuse. No, nah, he's the father of my children. If you die, somebody else will come and he will still be the father of your children. Do your children good today. Leave when you still can. You would find your feet. It's never really easy from the onset. Like, you would find your feet. I think that's very much that we can take today. If you're in an abusive relationship, reach out. And when they give you help, please try and accept help. Make it easy for people that are helping you. Okay, that's the much we can take on today's edition of Hot Stuff Wednesday. I hope you had your hot take. Remember that you still can drop a comment. You can drop your thoughts, whatever it is that you think about all of this on the comment section. Are you watching from YouTube? Are you watching from Facebook? We're also on Instagram, on Twitter, and of course, all social media. We are TSLNIGERIA TV. So we'll come your way next time. It's the Breakfast Team saying bye-bye.
Stay connected to TSL Nigeria and get updates on the go all day, every day. Subscribe to our YouTube channel on TSL Nigeria Space TV and join our online family.